Part 29. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 281. In the dark world inside the Bashan, it seems that even the passage of time cannot be grasped clearly. It was probably the past few days, and this journey finally came to an end. In the past few days, Zhu almost explained the matter of the supreme hunting ground to Wu Yu. Of course, he fought for it and saw if he could meet someone willing to help and send Wu Yu out of the endless demon sea. Zhu estimated the time and the speed of the Bashan, and his face was a little ugly. He said, "I guess my uncle Ba took us directly to the supreme hunting ground. I just don't know whether he will put us outside the supreme hunting ground or throw us directly in." He was afraid of being thrown directly in, and the supreme hunting ground had its own rules. It clearly stipulated that no matter whether it was the cultivators or demons inside, they could not leave without completing the mission objectives. As soon as he finished speaking, the space around him shook, and the entire light green ball of light trembled, and then shook and moved quickly. It should have been spit out by the Bashan. Buzz. At some point, Wu Yu felt like he had seen the light of day again. However, he soon realized that this was the endless demon sea, which was completely different from other places in the Shenzhou land. It was covered by dark clouds composed of miasma and demonic energy rolling in the sky all day long. There were rolling clouds in the sky. It was said that the thickness of the clouds was tens of thousands of feet. Ordinary cultivators could not fly to such a high place. That's why this place was a dark, damp, and gloomy place where the sun could not shine at all. It was said that there were countless ancient relics in the endless demon sea. It was even rumored that this place was once a battlefield between gods and ghosts, which was why there were so many evil spirits. At least when Wu Yu appeared here for the first time, he felt creepy because of the gloomy atmosphere all around. Bang! Until then, the ball of light surrounding them was broken, and Wu Yu and Zhu fell directly into a dark, tall primeval forest. This forest was shrouded in rolling black fog, and the air was filled with a serious smell of decay. The ancient trees were old, tall, and strange, like demons. When they looked up, the python that brought them here had already rushed into the endless rolling dark clouds in the sky. These endless dark clouds were unintentionally a dark ocean across the land of demons. Because of this, it was called the Endless Demon Sea. The python disappeared, and there was silence all around. After Wu Yu stood firm, he looked around and saw that there were mountains and forests all around. In the forest, there were countless abysses, swamps, rivers, and lakes. The whole world was shrouded in darkness, and the demonic energy was rising to the sky and condensing in the sky. Any cultivator who came to such a place would be terrified. Zhu looked around and said with a firm expression, "Sure enough, Uncle Ba threw me directly into the number 1 hunting ground. Last time, I took the opportunity to leave before entering the number 1 hunting ground. This time, my father will not let me go like this." In other words, this is in the supreme hunting ground. No wonder Wu Yu can roughly sense that he seems to be in a closed world. Everything he sees in front of him actually has boundaries. This is the supreme hunting ground set up by the top existence. Naturally, he can't get out. Zhu hurriedly said, "But don't worry, this seems to be the entrance to the number 1 hunting ground. Let's go to the entrance. I'll see if anyone will give me face and help me take you out of the Yunmen Sea." The supreme hunting ground is considered to be in the depths of the Yunmen Sea. There is no one to guide, and there are so many demons on the road, and they will be enemies with each other. You will definitely not be able to get out by yourself. After all, you are a cultivator, and it is too annoying here. Of course Wu Yu understands this principle. For example, a demon cannot rush into the Shushan Immortal Gate. Number 1 hunting ground is the first level of the supreme hunting ground. Monsters are hunters, and practitioners are prey. Zhu was about to take Wu Yu to the entrance of hunting ground number 1 at this time. At this moment, Wu Yu felt a majestic and ferocious demonic energy sweeping in from the east. Looking up, there were gusts of demonic winds over there, and a whirlwind was set off. Many ancient trees along the road fell to the ground with a bang. A wave of evil pressure rushed towards Wu Yu. Thrilling. Wu Yu looked intently, and through the heavy trees, he saw about a dozen black shadows about 2 feet long rushing towards him. They were either dogs or wolves. They were very agile and very fast. Obviously, they were all very powerful monsters. When they approached, Wu Yu could roughly see that there was a dark golden crescent moon at the center of their eyebrows, flickering in the darkness. This is the moon chaser dog, the law enforcer of hunting ground No. 1, Zhu said. This group of moon chaser dogs, the highest one is about the level of Bailey Fi Hung, and the lowest one is not weaker than Wu Yu. The cultivators in hunting ground No. 1, that is, the prey, are all at the 5th level of the Golden Cordeo realm. They are enough to subdue all the prey. Buzz. A group of dog demons came roaring. When you look into their eyes, you can feel the ferocity of the moon-chasing dogs. Their cold and silent eyes are without any emotion. When the team works together, the effect is terrifying, even surpassing the combined sword formation of Xuanhuan. Zhu just as they approached Wu Yu and Zhu, the group of moon-chasing dogs stood up at the same time, their hair shrank, their bodies shrank, their front paws turned into arms, their hind legs turned into human legs, and their dog heads turned into human heads. In the blink of an eye, they became human forms. With a few whooshes, they all stood on the branches of the ancient trees around Wu Yu and Zhu. One of them, a handsome middle-aged man with long black hair, was the leader of this group of moon-chasing dogs. The dogs stood around him and surrendered to him. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Zhangzuya Zhu recognized this person. Apparently they had known each other for a long time. The eyes of a group of dog demons quickly fell on Wu Yu. One of the young moon-chasing dogs smiled and said, "This prey is really interesting. Could he have predicted that our son of the infant emperor would appear here, come to grab the demon band so soon?" With that said, he came out of the team, probably wanting to drive Wu Yu away. They didn't know that Wu Yu was brought here with Zhu. Zhu said loudly, "This is my friend. When Uncle Ba found me, he was with me, so he was brought here by Uncle Ba by mistake. Brothers, you are here just in time. Zhu needs to ask you for something. Please send this friend Zhu out of the supreme hunting ground and let him leave Yunmengai safely." Judging from the attitude of the moon-chasing dog towards Zhu, Wu Yu discovered that in the endless demonic sea, Zhu would not enjoy absolute awe just because he was the son of the infant emperor. Friends, the moon-chasing dogs looked at each other in shock. "I heard you right, Zhu. The human race is our mortal enemy. They slaughtered countless compatriots of our demon race, destroyed the foundation of our demon race, and took over our demon race's land and resources. When we see the human race, we should kill each one. Zhu, you are cowardly by nature. Even if you don't dare to kill the prey in the supreme hunting ground, you still want us to send him away from Yunmengai. Your stupid behavior really embarrasses our young emperor." The moon-chasing dogs all spoke in unbelievable sarcasm. Wu Yu felt that Zhu had a very real and decisive temperament, but he did not expect that in the eyes of these monsters, he would become a coward by nature rather than killing people indiscriminately. No wonder they don't respect Zhu. Maybe Zhu behavior is deeply despised by the demons. "Shut up," Zhu was slightly angry. "We just said, what, you dare to kill us? Moon Chaser Dog is indeed very arrogant." In the end, the leader, Zhangzuyu, waved his hand. He glanced at Wu Yu a few more times and said, "Zhu, we can't help you fulfill your request. The Supreme Hunting Ground has the rules of the Supreme Hunting Ground. We got the request from the infant emperor. My order is to help you pass the test of the Supreme Hunting Ground as soon as possible. As the son of the infant emperor, I think you should live up to expectations and complete the most important things first. In this way, Zhu test in the Supreme Hunting Ground is something that almost everyone in the Endless Demon Sea knows. He has never killed a cultivator so far, and he is probably very famous in the Endless Demon Sea. The Ying Emperor said that if you don't complete the test, you will stay in this Supreme Hunting Ground for the rest of your life. Zhu, your talent is incredible. You have the blood of the Ying Emperor and are far superior to us. I think you should not waste your talent. Yang the Emperor has great expectations for you, don't let him down, Zhang Ziyu said seriously. Zhu said angrily, I know what to do about my affairs, and I don't need you all to take care of it. What I need now is to send my friend out of the Supreme Hunting Ground, and treat him as a prey who has won 50 demon bands. How about letting him go? Now it was the turn of Moon Chaser Dog and the others to look at each other. Boss, Zhu still doesn't know that even if we get 50 demon bands, we will just release them from the Supreme Hunting Ground. The Supreme Hunting Ground is deep in the Yunmen Sea. Ordinary cultivators will die there even if they leave the Supreme Hunting Ground. On the way out, the moon-chasing dogs gathered together and discussed in secret. Zhu seems to be very protective of this cultivator, which is a bit troublesome. Even if we send people, it's impossible to send him out. If we encounter other monsters on the road who want to kill him, we can't stop him. Although Zhu is cowardly, after all, if the son of the infant emperor gets really angry, we won't feel well, Zhang Ziyu analyzed. Does anyone have any good ideas? Finally, one of the dog monsters said, isn't the infant emperor eager to hope that Zhu can be more ruthless? If he really cares about this ascetic friend, then let him pass the Supreme Hunting Ground and personally send him out of Yunmengai. Now Zhu will have the motivation to hunt prey. He can't let his friends stay in the Supreme Hunting Ground forever. Zhang Ziyu was very satisfied and said, this is a good idea. You are very smart. You will be rewarded soon. Thank you, boss. Zhang Ziyu quickly told Wu Yu about the arrangement. He added, Zhu, this is your friend. If something happens on the road, none of us can afford it. I think you send him off personally. This is the best option. Good idea. Since he is your friend, I won't plant a slavery ban on him. Anyway, we have no choice. If you can meet other law enforcers, they might be willing to help. In order to force Zhu to kill someone, they did everything possible. Zhu was naturally sullen and trembling with anger, but Wu Yu calmly listened to their conversation and suddenly asked, Your Excellency, while Zhu passes, if I can collect 50 demon bands, can you let me leave? Zhang Ziyu was shocked. Seeing that Wu Yu was only at the 3rd level of the Golden Core Realm, he immediately smiled, waved his hand and said, if you can collect 50 demon bands, I will not only let you out, but also personally I send you Izumo Dreams to the sea. This was what Wu Yu was waiting for. /U003 sem /U003 e /U003 sem /U003 f. Follow the official QQ public account, ID, love, read it early, and keep abreast of the latest information /U003c/m /U003 e /U003c/m /U003 e. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 282. After finishing speaking, Zhang Ziyu realized that he had talked too much, but if he thought about it carefully, Wu Yuki was at the 3rd level of the Golden Core Realm. There was no place for him to survive in this hunting ground, let alone collecting 50. Remember the domain name of this website, Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. He added, of course, there is no slavery ban on you, but if your strength reaches the level of hunting ground number 2, you will be forcibly sent to hunting ground no 2. This supreme hunting ground has such a setting for their prey. They will guard the hunting ground according to their strength. Once there is a breakthrough, they will be immediately sent to a higher level hunting ground to deal with higher level demons and prevent them from being killed all at once after the strength breakthrough. Get too many demon bands. After adding this, he felt relieved. No matter how Wu Yu looked at it, he didn't look like the kind of person who could kill himself out of the supreme hunting ground. In fact, since ancient times, there were only a few people who could get out alive after entering the supreme hunting ground. Zhuing, work hard. Whether your friend can leave alive depends on whether you dare to hunt our demon clan's prey. I hope you can go to the number 2 hunting ground as soon as possible. When the time comes, your friend can follow you. You will feel more at ease if you protect him yourself, right? Zhang Ziyu smiled. With this brilliant idea, he planned to immediately communicate with the law enforcers at other hunting grounds and collectively force Zhu Ying to commit murder. Farewell. After saying this, Zhang Ziyu and a group of dog demons roared into the sky several times, transformed into pitch-black demon bodies, and roared away. In the blink of an eye, they left, leaving Wu Yu and Zhu Ying looking at each other. Wu Yu looked at him helplessly and said, "They are trying to use me to force you out of this supreme hunting ground as soon as possible." I didn't expect it at first. Zhu Ying was a little regretful, but under such circumstances, he couldn't think of any other good way. Wu Yu said, "Actually, I understand that even if I are released from the supreme hunting ground now, if there is no one to protect me, the chance of leaving Yunmengai alive is not very high. Now, I think there are 2 ways to go." Zhu Ying asked, "Which 2?" In fact, he felt very guilty. It was because of his identity that Wu Yu got into this situation. Wu Yu said, "The first one is that you pass the test of this supreme hunting ground and take me away in person. In fact, I can see that as long as you are willing to pass this test, there are still many people who are willing to listen to your orders. Now they just can't. I accept that the son of the infant emperor is not even willing to kill a prey, so I deliberately make things difficult for you." Zhu Ying said distressedly, "Do you also think I should do this?" Wu Yu shook his head and said, "No, I don't think what you think makes sense. In cultivation, whether you are a human or a demon, I think the principles are the same, that is, stick to your original intention. From my opinion, you don't kill an innocent person who has no grudges against you is a correct way to stick to it, so in this matter, I support you to stick to your heart and don't mess with your own way. Of course, the final decision is up to you." Own. Zhu Ying's eyes lit up, and he looked at Wu Yu with some gratitude. In this vast sea of human beings, Wu Yu was almost the only one who could understand him, whether he was a human or a demon, while all other demons, including his father, they cannot tolerate his ways. Especially the infant emperor, who was rumored to be a violent monster. "By the way, what about the second way?" Zhu Ying asked. Wu Yu said, "This path mainly depends on myself, that is, getting 50 demon bands. Then it depends on whether Zhang Ziyu can fulfill his promise to take me away from Yunmengai. In fact, if I can get 50 demon bands, then my strength may not be weaker than his, but in this Yunmengai, I do need a not weak demon to guide me. He is the law enforcer of the supreme hunting ground and has a formal status. This way, the possibility of leaving safely is relatively high." Big. Wu Yu probably guessed his second path. He shook his head and said, 50 demon bands are too difficult. After all, in this supreme hunting ground, demons are hunters and monks are just prey. No one has completed it for a long time. Once you show strong strength, they will send you to a higher level hunting ground soon. Although I think your combat power is superior, it will take several years to penetrate the supreme hunting ground. This will waste your time. Indeed, after staying in this supreme hunting ground for several years, I still felt terrible and helpless. However, given Zhu Ying's current state, it would actually take him several years to work hard and penetrate the supreme hunting ground. Regarding this point, Wu Yu said firmly, "Don't think too much about this aspect. Now that we are here and there is no better way, we can only do this for now. We can see if there are other ways along the way. And actually, for me, I am also somewhat eager for the opportunity to fight the demon geniuses in this supreme hunting ground. I don't have a slavery ban, at least there is no life danger. As for how long it will take, it really depends on personal destiny. Baby, starting from today, I am ready to penetrate this supreme battlefield. Zhu didn't expect that he would adapt so quickly to such a change, and he would also firm up his plans and goals. In fact, Wu Yu knew that this incident had both gains and losses. What he gained was the opportunity to fight monsters in this supreme hunting ground, and even the opportunity to fight to the death. Fighting is the most challenging thing. There are no such good opportunities in Xuanhuan. What has been lost is the resources of Xuanhuan. After all, in this supreme hunting ground, it may be difficult to obtain achievements, update psychic weapons, etc. There is another very important point. My fellow apprentices from Xuanhuan Immortal sect, Sister Shen, and others, I'm afraid they all thought I was missing. The case of Black Mountain Ghost Wing is probably also confusing to them. I don't know what they will think of me when I return one day. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. And I'm afraid she will come out of the Xuanhuan Samsara cave first, and I will be missing. This will be a blow to her. Wu Yu planned to use the communication talisman to tell Shenzingyu what happened here, but first, the communication talisman could not fly that far. Second, the supreme hunting ground had restrictions. Even the supreme hunting ground could not fly out, otherwise Zhu could also find someone else to help. It is impossible to predict how much time he will spend here. It is like being imprisoned. This feeling is even more terrifying than being imprisoned in the heart sword tree. Wu Yu was also deeply shaken in his heart. Fortunately, there is another gain, which is the friend Zhu Ying. Zhu Ying struggled very much and said, in that case, I will practice with all my strength. Anyway, I have already killed Haishan Gi, and I don't mind killing the second person. Wu Yu interrupted him and said, don't be like this, Black Mountain Ghost Wing deserves to die, but if you want to break through the supreme hunting ground, I suggest you not kill people randomly and follow your true intentions. There is no need to break the precept for me. Wu Yu. Zhu Ying looked at him apologetically. Good things come hard, and destiny changes. Generally speaking, it cannot be changed, but I can still change my destiny through my own hard work. I think this supreme hunting ground is a treasure for me, what do you think? There is a saying that once it comes, make peace with it. Zhu Ying was infected by his calmness, and his eyes turned red for a moment. He didn't say much, nodded, and said, I understand what you mean, then I will compete with you to see who grows faster. Of course, the premise is that I still only kill those who deserve to be killed. He could think like this and make such a decision, which made Wu Yu feel at ease. In this way, even if they have only known each other for a short time, Wu Yu fully recognizes this demon brother in his heart. Although they are of different races, confidants are hard to find. I believe Zhu Ying thinks the same way. How are you preparing for the first step? Zhu Ying asked. The demons in this hunting ground are basically no match for me. However, I am not in a hurry to get a ban on demons. I want to find a stable place and refine the golden elixir first. I am relatively weak in the realm now, Wu Yu said thoughtfully. It's very simple. We monsters find the ascetics by sensing the enslavement ban. You don't have the enslavement ban on you. Even if they see you, they won't bother to do anything to you. But I have to guard against the ascetics coming to steal my demon ban, Zhu Ying said with a smile. It seems that the ascetics who were caught here were really miserable and had no place to hide. However, how can the demons in the demonic abyss be miserable? Wu Yu now has too many Yuan Jindan. He is hungry for Jindan now. It is the time to refine a large amount of Yuan Jindan. Moreover, Black Mountain Ghost Wing has left many treasures, and he has not had time to check them one by one. Woolen cloth. He and Zhu Ying first wandered around the area, and encountered some other demons during the process. When they saw Wu Yu next to Zhu Ying, they did not dare to step forward. Strange, why is there no slavery ban on this prey? I don't know. Could it be that it has been taken away by Zhu Ying? No, you have to kill the prey to get the slavery ban, and Zhu Ying doesn't kill anyone. That's really weird. Forget it, don't provoke Zhu Ying. Although he has a good temper, he is the son of the Ying Emperor after all. I think the Ying Emperor seems to be disappointed in Zhu Ying, but in fact he still loves Zhu Ying very much. After all, he is Zhu Ying's only son. And at Zhu Ying's age and his level of cultivation, he is indeed the number one person in our demon clan, but his personality is so different from that of the infant emperor. Passing by them, Zhu Ying smiled helplessly and said, I've been hearing such comments since I was born, and I'm tired of hearing them. You are quite stubborn if you don't change like this. Wu Yu admired him a little. There were really not many people who could stick to their hearts. I don't know. It's just like this in my bones. There's no way to change it. People say I don't look like the son of the infant emperor. Zhu Ying waved his hand. If they are together, the demons will not attack. As for the cultivators, whether they are sword cultivators, ghost cultivators, or ordinary cultivators, Wu Yu has not encountered them so far. It is said that there are too many demon clans and too few prey in the number one hunting ground, so it is in urgent need of replenishment. Any prey that can survive has the ability to survive. Thinking of many compatriots being hunted here, including even seniors from Xuanhuan, Wu Yu still felt uncomfortable, but it seemed that he was powerless to change. Just like the fox demon in the demonic abyss said, Wu Yu couldn't save her at all. Not long after, they found a remote place, which was an underground abyss and a deep cave. I'm watching from outside, don't worry. Zhu Ying transformed into the demon body, coiled outside the cave, opened his 9 mouths, and began to absorb the spiritual energy between heaven and earth to refine his demon elixir. /U003 cent /U003e /U003c /cente /U003e. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 283. The way demons practice is generally different from that of cultivators, and there are differences between different demons. The giant body of Zhu Ying coiled in the mountains, almost blending with the surrounding gloomy mountain walls, and the dark scales were flowing with faint fluorescence. Its heads were arranged in a mysterious way, with a vague meaning of array. This was obviously passed down from generation to generation by their ancestors. For them, the best and fastest way is something that is integrated into their blood. Wu Yu first sorted out the items left by Black Mountain Ghost Wing thoroughly, leaving elixirs for elixirs, immortals for immortals, treasures for treasures, magic tools for magic tools, and some sundries. Wu Yu put some disgusting things made by ghost cultivators in the sumuru bag and buried it deep underground. Most of the remaining things are actually useless to Wu Yu. For example, in terms of spiritual instruments, the other party's spiritual instruments, such as the 6 flags, are powerful, but for Wu Yu, if he gets familiar with this instrument, it will damage his state of mind. Now he has the 9-sided demon pillar, which is completely enough. As for swords, although Hideyazai and his friends have better spiritual instruments, these are the things of the senior brothers after all, and they have to be taken back to Xuanhuan. Among the items brought by Black Mountain Ghost Wing, the number of treasures is much more than that of immortals. This may be because most of the treasures are materials for drawing magic arrays. Most of them are materials that can be used to refine magic instruments, such as metals and strange stones, and there are also a lot of blank talisman papers. This kind of talisman paper is also made from treasures. Treasures are like immortals. Those with good qualities basically have spiritual patterns given by heaven and earth. The more spiritual patterns, the higher the quality. If you want to make an excellent magic instrument, materials such as treasures are very important, and the magic array drawn on them is even more important. For example, the 9-sided demon pillar is made of precious materials with at least 3 spiritual patterns, and a large amount is needed. Among the items of Black Mountain Ghost Wing, there are also a large number of books on drawing arrays, most of which are evil arrays of ghost cultivators, but some are not distinguished between good and evil, and there are even books on the introduction of arrays. Now Wu Yu has begun to understand the art of alchemy. After fighting with Black Mountain Ghost Wing, he has a strong interest in drawing arrays. However, no matter how interested he is, he still puts this matter aside first, because he knows very well what to do in this supreme hunting ground. Refining the golden elixir. Compared with the current Namo Bayu Wang Buddha golden body, the Dan Yuan of the golden elixir is far from enough. It is indeed good to have a strong physical body, but the golden elixir and realm are the foundation of cultivation. Wu Yu is naturally clear about this. He sat cross-legged in the depths of the cave, with Zhu sitting outside, and he devoted himself to refining the golden elixir. Black Mountain Ghost Wing left behind more than 3,000 yuan Jin Dan, which made Wu Yu feel rich. Because his body was very strong at this time, he could completely control the power of yuan Jin Dan. Even the Qi Hiake appointment was very solid. In this case, the white Jin Dan was very solid, so Wu Yu didn't care too much. He just grabbed a handful of yuan Jin Dan and swallowed them one by one like eating beans. In the Danshan, the Jin Dan magic of the great heavenly immortal art had been unfolded, and began to capture, merge and even swallow the medicinal power of yuan Jin Dan, dissecting and separating its vast power, and converting the most essential part of it into the Jin Dan part, increasing it bit by bit. Even though the speed of swallowing yuan Jin Dan was much faster than before, in fact, Wu Yu's body and Qi Hiake appointment were in a very stable state. Even if the medicinal power of yuan Jin Dan was fierce, it seemed that it could not tear Wu Yu's body. For him, Wu Yu's current body was simply a copper wall. This is also one of the effects of a strong physical body. There was a violent power fluctuation behind him. Zhu raised his head and looked at Wu Yu. He couldn't help but gasp and said, "This guy is really a humanoid monster, even more of a monster than our monsters." When they first met, he didn't know that Wu Yu had such a perverted scene. "I hope that this time, I dragged him down, and he can leave safely and escape," Zhu thought. However, the later he got, the more shocked he was. He originally thought that Wu Yu just started to swallow Yuan Jindan to practice, but he didn't expect that he would refine it with Yuan Jindan throughout the whole process. In this day, it is estimated that more than 100 Yuan Jindan will be refined. The speed and intensity of its refining are rare in the world and incredible. Compared to me, he is a monster. Zhu sighed. At the same time, because of Wu Yu's stimulation, he also focused and sped up. Wu Yu devoted himself to trying his limit with yuan Jin Dan. He always paid attention to the quality of the Dan, ensuring that it was still in the most focused state, without any mistakes. Once the Dan could not withstand such a rapid improvement and became loose, he would stop immediately. However, this physical improvement brought him great convenience. The medicinal power of yuan Jin Dan was well controlled, so the Dapan Tianxian technique was actually very easy to refine the Dan, and there was almost no change in the process. For Wu Yu, this might be a great accumulation of strength. Dapan Tianxian technique was originally an excellent way to become an immortal, and its magic method of dissolving yuan Jin Dan was absolutely unmatched by other methods. 10 days later, Wu Yu had swallowed thousands of yuan Jin Dan, and the property he had finally obtained was instantly reduced by 1/3. However, this loss also paid off. The white golden elixir continued to grow stronger and stronger during the tempering. It finally completed a transformation at this moment and reached the 4th level of the golden elixir Great Dao realm. Boom! Dan Yuan spurted out all over his body, and the Dan fire became more intense, burning on Wu Yu's body. Although he was only at the 4th level of the Golden Dan Dao realm, in terms of Dan Yuan alone, Wu Yu surpassed many 5th levels of the Jin Dan Dao realm. Existence. In addition to the golden body of Namo Baya King Buddha, there are 2 kinds of 72 changes, and the strength will definitely increase again. Call. Wu Yu stopped swallowing Yuan Jindan and began to stabilize the 4th level of Jindan. It took a few more days to stabilize the current state. Today's Jindan is already very strong. When we reach the 4th level of the Golden Elixir realm, things are indeed a little different. We need to temper the Golden Elixir in the future, because we have just used a large amount of Yuan Jin Elixir. Next, we will definitely need to practice on our own to make the Golden Elixir more solid and foundational. It is stronger. And it is said that starting from the 4th level of the Golden Elixir realm, it is not enough to have the Golden Elixir magic method. You also need your own understanding to figure out the path that suits you, and even to plant your own way into quenching. In the process of refining the elixir, from the 4th level to the 5th level of the Golden Core Dao realm, we have reached a state where human and elixir are integrated into one. Otherwise, even if I have more Yuan Jindan, I would not be able to advance so quickly. It seems that going from the 4th level to the 5th level of the Golden Core realm is really a watershed. Now that he has just reached the 4th level, Wu Yu doesn't want to be too far away. He still has no idea about the so-called integration of human and elixir, but he knows that cultivating the Tao is not just about mechanically tempering the body, condensing the source of magic, and tempering the golden elixir. To a higher degree, sometimes what a person thinks in his heart, his feelings in his heart, the relationship between man and heaven and earth, and what is caused by his soul are more important. However, these parts, including the indestructible body of the Vajra and the great celestial magic, may not be able to help to his place. Because if you want to become an immortal, you must have your own way. Without the Tao, where would the immortals come from? His own immortal way is also the difference between Wu Yu and the person who gave him the inheritance. Congratulations on your great improvement in strength. Zhu transformed into a human and walked in with a sincere smile on his face. Wu Yu discovered that Zhu Ying's cultivation level had grown stronger in just over 10 days of practice. As expected, this son is worthy of being the son of the infant emperor, and he looks different every day. What's your plan next? Zhu Ying asked. Wu Yu thought for a while and said, it's still early and Zhangzuyu doesn't know my strength. Try to make more progress before being exposed. Even if I stay here for a year or 2, it doesn't matter. Wu Yu calculated that if he wanted to get 50 demon bands quickly, he would probably need to be at least the 5th level of the Golden Core realm and learn a magical power. I'm afraid they even need to be at the 6th level of the Golden Core realm, and those characters in Hunting Ground number 10, no matter what, they probably need the 7th level of the Golden Core realm to be able to defeat them. Wu Yu thought that it would be best to quickly get the 50 demon bands before being sent to Hunting Grounds number 9 and number 10. This is his own plan, so he still needs stronger strength. As for Zhu Ying's future path, he doesn't know, he can't control it. And for Zhu Ying, will he be imprisoned here for the rest of his life? That's right. Since there is no better way, it is not a bad thing to continue to improve your strength. In the past, I was a little careless in my practice. I thought I could surpass all the demons casually. However, Wu Yu, you have taught me it's a lot of pressure. Seeing you making such rapid progress, I can't lose to you, Zhu Ying said with full information. It turns out that he has such a state at such a young age, but he still practices carelessly. Wu Yu really envies him. Okay, before I leave the Supreme Hunting Ground, I will compete with you to see who has made greater progress, Wu Yu said with a smile. It's settled, don't go back on your word when the time comes. Zhu Ying's interest suddenly rose, looking full of fighting spirit. A gentleman's words are hard to chase, Wu Yu said calmly. In that case, I won't waste time after saying that. Zhu ran out directly, transformed into the body of the demon, and began to absorb the essence of heaven and earth to strengthen himself, and more of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was swallowed by it. To be honest, although this endless demonic sea is dark, the richness of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth is no worse than that of Shushan Mountain, but it is not as concentrated as Qingtian Shushan Mountain. My father is the number one demon in this divine continent, and I'm still afraid of you. Zhu Ying's blood boiled with excitement, and he was extremely looking forward to that day in the future. However, Wu Yu was not in a hurry. \U003 sem \U003 e \U003 sem \U003 follow the official QQ public account, ID, love, read it early, and keep abreast of the latest information \U003 c/m \U003 e \U003 c/m \U003 e. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 284. It is said that alchemy helps to control the golden elixir and the elixir fire. In the process, one can better understand the heaven and earth, and experience the heaven, earth, and Tao through a rigorous process. This process is very important for the fifth level human elixir in the golden elixir realm. The state of unity has been greatly promoted, and many people have even found their own way to unite human and elixir in alchemy. Being familiar with oneself is a very important step in tempering the golden elixir. Although I have the most outstanding golden elixir magic method and a large number of Yuanjin elixirs, I still need to be familiar with myself and understand the existence of the Tao before I can reach the realm of the golden elixir. 5 layers, otherwise you will always be stuck at the bottleneck. There are tens of thousands of golden elixirs at the 4th level of the Great Dao realm in the mortal sword domain, and a large number of them have stayed in this realm for at least several decades. For such a long time, no matter how slow they refine the golden elixirs, they can still reach the critical point of the 5th level. The reason why it has not reached the 5th level is that it lacks a sense of Tao, unable to understand oneself, the unity of human and elixir, and the understanding of heaven and earth. Since Wu Yu began to practice Taoism, he has basically had a smooth journey because of his superb magic. But now he realizes that the only thing he really depends on is himself. The 5th level of the golden elixir realm is what he encountered. The first threshold, perhaps only after crossing this threshold can one truly be qualified to embark on the high road. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow diamondsuit. And this is a hurdle that no one can help yourself with. In addition to refining alchemy, drawing the magic circle is also a very important part. The magic circle is the crystallization of the wisdom of countless ascetics who understood the world. Those who could create the magic circle in the past were all ancient powerful beings who could truly become immortals. We have gone a long way on the road and left behind so many treasures. Drawing the magic circle requires the most rigorous and careful attitude, and it also requires the most extreme concentration at all times. If there is even a slight mistake in any place, it will be a big mistake. The magic circle will all fail. It is this highest level of concentration that makes us more fascinated. By copying the handwriting and thinking of our predecessors, we can understand what they have understood and thereby improve ourselves. Baidu Yuxia He, Yan. Brother, watch the chapters for free without pop-ups. Refining elixirs and drawing magic circles does not seem to increase combat effectiveness. In fact, countless data in history prove that ascetics who do not know how to make alchemy and draw magic circles will never achieve the true path. Of course, except for demons, demons rely on blood, and their ancestors also have cultivation methods, but they are different from refining alchemy and drawing magic circles. However, for countless years, humans and demons have blended together. Nowadays, among the demons, there are also those who are very good at refining alchemy and drawing magic circles. For example, this supreme hunting ground is surrounded by many arrays. Opening a book called General Book of Magical Arrays, there is no method for drawing magical formations, but it gives a general introduction to the world of magical formations. On the first page of the General Book of Magical Arrays, there are the words dragon flying and phoenix dancing. These words are similar to the formation diagram of Na. Although they are words, they also have the meaning of the formation diagram. When he saw this word, Wu Yu seemed to see it. In a picture, an old man with a long beard stood with his hands behind his back, his voice was deafening, and he said loudly, "Beginners need to be extremely careful. The method of drawing the magic circle in the Jindan Dao realm and Zifu-Kanghai mirror is not the real method. In ancient times, only by achieving the Yuan Shen and using the Yuan Shen to draw the magic circle, what was drawn and arranged was the real magic circle. Those magic circles all had the power to destroy the heaven and the earth. The powerful man of Yuan Shen dominates the world with his magic circle. However, later, through the efforts of some people, the ascetics of the Jindan Dao realm and Zifu-Kanghai were able to create a pseudo-magic circle by copying the ancient Yuan Shen magic circle and adding some auxiliary techniques. The power of the magic circle is far from that of the real magic circle. One is in the sky and the other is on the ground. Most of the magic circles circulating in the world today are pseudo-magic circles that are simplified from the magic circle. There are only a few real magic circles in the world. In the hands of some powerful people, but even so, the pseudo-magic circle is still more popular than the real magic circle. Although it is just a copy, it still has great effectiveness. It is the efforts and simplification of these predecessors that formed the era of the universal magic circle. Therefore, those ancestors who simplified and created copying methods have great merits. It is precisely because of the popularization of the pseudo-magic circle that people above the golden elixir Dao realm can enhance their comprehension ability by copying the magic circle and comprehend the crystallization of the wisdom of their ancestors, thereby making faster progress in these two realms. Of course, no one outside today mentions the term pseudo-magic circle at all. Today, the world has long regarded pseudo-magic circle as part of the magic circle. Next, Wu Yu flipped through and found the specific classification of magic formations. Among them, there are attack and killing formations arranged between heaven and earth, such as the 10,000 sword formation, the Xuanhuan 99 immortal sword formation, and so on. There is a purely defensive, insurmountable defensive array, such as the limits of the supreme hunting ground. There are also magic formations like the Ghost Jew formation, which are built between heaven and earth with cruel methods to gather essence and spiritual energy and infuse oneself. There are many types of magic formations in this part, especially for ghost cultivators. These three types of formations are collectively called the heaven and earth array. The most obvious sign is that these arrays are all built between heaven and earth. The second major type is the magical weapon array. Wu Yu has seen a lot about the magical weapon array. Basically all the magical weapons and psychic magical weapons exist. In terms of scale, it is not as large as the heaven and earth array, but its effect is exquisite. It is the core of the magic weapon and has long-lasting effectiveness. The third type is the talisman array. The talisman array is the easiest to draw. It is drawn on the talisman paper and can be attacked at once to release destructive power. Because of the different talisman arrays, the talismans created are also different. Different ones, such as the communication talisman and the Benway talisman, have no attack power. For example, the soul-chasing electric talisman and the soul-eating talisman are very scary, but they can only be used once. The fourth type is a magic circle built on mechanisms and puppets. This type of formation is relatively rare, but it is also very precious. In history, some people used this type of formation to create legions of mechanisms and puppets, sweeping the world. It is said that in ancient times, at a certain time, organic arrays and puppet arrays were very popular. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. In addition to these four major categories, there are countless magic circles outside the four major categories, which are classified into the category of other magic circles. Because of the different types, the methods of drawing and copying the magic circle are different. In fact, the creation method of the magic circle itself is the same, but the way to achieve success is slightly different. Take the heaven and earth formation, for example. This type of formation is so powerful that it basically takes many years to set up. It also requires a lot of materials, including treasures and fairies, and may also be some evil things, and it is closely related to the terrain location, such as talking about ghosts. Most of the layout of powerful heaven and earth formations requires a lot of energy and cannot be done by ordinary people. For example, a small heaven and earth formation like the Gate of Hell, Black Mountain Ghost Wing can do it in half a day. Of course, it must have enough materials will do. As for the magic formation that copies the heaven and earth formation, it itself will be much more complicated than other formations, and it is easy to fail. Then there is the drawing of the magic weapon array. The difference between the magic weapon array and the talisman array is not very big, but when drawing the magic weapon array, you need to forge the magic weapon, which requires the use of a weapon furnace and a talisman array. For other hammer-type magic weapons, the precious materials must first be forged into swords or other objects. There are also some strange objects between heaven and earth that can be directly drawn into the magic weapon array, such as gourds. But most of them still require the calcining and beating of the weapon in a furnace, and the use of elixir fire, such as a sword. After the sword embryo is completed, the magic weapon array can be drawn into it. After success, the magic weapon can be released from the furnace. The talisman array requires talisman paper, which is simpler, but the materials still need to be homemade. The more powerful the talisman array, the better the talisman paper is. However, monks generally do not make their own talisman paper. Most monks do not make their own talisman paper. Choose to buy and redeem. Some people specialize in making talisman paper and selling it to make money. The steps for making talisman paper are relatively complicated. It is said that some tree-type fairies are used, which is somewhat similar to the paper-making technique in the world. The only difference is that the materials are replaced by fairies, and the cooperation of magic and magic is required. As for the mechanism magic circle, it is relatively mysterious and is not even introduced in the general book of magic circles. For beginners, the heaven and earth formation is too overbearing and responsible, and the mechanisms and puppet formations are too mysterious. The best ways to practice are the magic weapon array and the talisman formation, and the talisman formation is easy to obtain because of the talisman paper. Generally, beginners will choose to make a talisman first and draw a copy of the talisman array. However, Black Mountain Ghost Wing himself is a master of magic circles. In his inventory, there are a large number of furnaces and several kinds of hammer-shaped psychic magic weapons. The best of them is better than Wu Yu's three-legged cauldron furnace. It's much better. They are all ownerless things now. Wu Yu refined a furnace called the Red Flame Furnace. The furnace is more complicated than the alchemy furnace. In addition to the furnace, it also includes some other tasks. Mesa. Then, he forged an iron hammer called the Shocking Hammer. There was no attack array on this hammer, only the strength, coordination, and other magic circles. It was specially forged for the purpose of forging the magical weapon. And has no attack effect. The Crimson Flame Furnace and the Sky-Shattering Hammer are the most important things for refining magic weapons. In addition, Dan Fire is also needed. When it comes to drawing the magic circle, it is said that Yuan Shen monks use spiritual power. The Jindan realm does not have such power, and can only use Danyuan instead. This is also one of the differences between pseudo-magic circle and magic circle. Because he was not familiar with the Crimson Flame Furnace and the Sky-Shattering Hammer, and did not yet have the skills to be a blacksmith and forge the embryos of magic weapons, and with hundreds of ready-made talisman papers, Wu Yu was the first to study the talisman array. Among them, Black Mountain Ghostwing left a secret book that specifically recorded more than 10 kinds of talisman formations. In fact, there is no clear distinction between good and evil talisman formations. After all, there is no need to use some very cruel materials, so among them Wu Yu can basically learn all the talisman formations. On the contrary, most of the secret codes of magic weapon formations he left behind require mortal flesh and soul to be used as guides, and cannot be learned. It is said that learning the magic circle and the secret code are very important. The secret code of the magic circle requires a high level of merit to redeem. For example, the secret code of talismans in Wu Yu's hand. For each type of talisman magic circle, there is first a magic circle drawn on the book. This is a real magic circle. It can be take it out and use it. After all, this paper itself is a talisman paper. After the real magic circle, there is a description of the origin of this magic circle, and then the order of each stroke. The order is the foundation of the magic circle. If you don't know the order, it is absolutely impossible to draw and copy it successfully. This is why others get the talisman and fail to do so. The reason for the method to copy its magic circle. In addition to the sequence, there are also many senior skills. Every detail needs to be paid attention to, as well as where and what magic formula should be inserted. Wu Yu only looked at a very simple talisman magic circle called Fireball. Fu, there is a feeling of dizziness. The way of the magic circle is too deep, much deeper than the way of alchemy. Wu Yu sighed sincerely. /U003 sem /U003e /U003 sem /U003 follow the official QQ public account, ID, love, read first, and get the latest information at any time /U003c/m /U003e /U003c/m /U003e. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 285. Now that he had to enter the 5th level of the Golden Core realm, it still took a long time, so Wu Yu devoted himself wholeheartedly to the study of the magic circle. With this investment, he discovered that his interest in this area was much more important than he had imagined. This also made him understand that a monastic life is not just about hard work and fighting. In other places, maybe just resting and sleeping, you can have an epiphany and become an immortal. On the road to cultivating immortality, the most important thing is to avoid being impatient. Although I am trapped in this supreme hunting ground, I must keep my composure. This is the method that will ultimately allow me to return to Xuanhuan as soon as possible. Wu Yu figured out this truth and didn't know whether it was correct or not, but he was firm in his heart and did not waver at all. Fireball Talisman. The talisman drawn in the magic circle when he first learned had almost no attack power for Wu Yu, but if it could defeat a martial arts master at the 10th level of mortal martial arts. Everything has a beginning. If you want to explore the Great Road, you must start from a small path. Taiwan Novel Network. Rightward arrow. Black Mountain Ghostwing left a lot of blank talisman paper, and most of the talisman papers were used to carve fireball talismans, which was actually a bit of a waste. However, Wu Yu is now wealthy and doesn't care. After familiarizing himself with the general book of magical circles and gaining a certain understanding of the magical circles, he began to ponder the fireball talisman. First, he studied the principles, details, and order of the fireball talisman clearly, memorizing them backwards and forwards, and even those places where it was easy to get distracted. He knew everything that went wrong. After that, he began to take out the talisman paper, used the Danyuan to condense a formation pen on his finger, and began to draw. The process of drawing was actually a process of continuously performing Taoism, but it was not an ordinary attack Taoism. Many Taoist methods are arranged in a specific order and reach a certain balance, which is the magic circle. The magic circle is something similar to a machine, and its principles are somewhat the same. Wu Yu was fully focused, staring at the formation pen and talisman paper in his hand. The concentration required to draw the formation was too high, and the control of the alchemy also required a high level, more than refining alchemy, so many times the novice would have a splitting headache. If you can't hold back the feeling, the unfinished magic circle will collapse directly if it is interrupted midway. Wu Yu's first attempt was at the last third of the painting in Xuanhuan. At that time, he was really exhausted. He was sweating all over and his eyes were almost burning. At that moment, he had a headache. Attack, he forced himself to endure it, and if he moved his hand a little slower, the talisman in his hand immediately burned, and the magic circle collapsed. Fail. Come again. Unexpectedly, the second time was even worse. As soon as I started drawing, there was a deviation and another talisman paper was destroyed. The first time I failed, I was unwilling to accept it the second time. I was impatient and wanted to succeed all at once, so I failed faster. It's not just about drawing magic circles. The principles are the same in the world. It seems that I need to calm down. Come down, think for a day, rest for a day, and then start again. Wu Yu is very rational in this regard. He knows when enough is enough and simply chooses to stop, relax himself, and shift his attention to other things, such as continuing to refine the golden elixir. In the process of tempering the golden elixir, his tempering speed was still faster than others, but Wu Yu always felt that there was something missing in such mechanical tempering. Maybe it's because the golden elixir lacks some Taoist charm. He has gained so much understanding in a short period of time. This is due to his character and has a lot to do with his understanding. To kill the enemy, you need to be violent, your willpower needs to be willing to die rather than surrender, and go against the will of heaven. To practice, you need to be calm and composed, and follow the Tao. After a series of summaries, Wu Yu felt that he was obviously different from before. In the past, it was like a training machine, but now, he gradually feels the existence of Tao and realizes that the road of cultivation is as deep as the deep sea and is not as simple as it seems on the surface. About 10 days later, Wu Yu, who only tried once a day, kept moving forward and finally refined the first fireball talisman. When holding the talisman in his hand, Wu Yu smiled slightly. The arrival was expected. If he is impatient, he knows that he will definitely not succeed. Seeing that Zhuiying was still sucking the spiritual energy and essence of heaven and earth outside, he activated the fireball talisman and threw it towards Zhuiying. During the process, the fireball talisman burned and turned into a flaming sphere the size of a fist. It roared and hit Zhuiying. Zhuiying knew that he was just learning the magic circle for the first time, so he opened his eyes lazily. For such a monster with terrifying blood, practicing was almost like sleeping, very comfortable. Snap! The fireball talisman hit Zhuiying's scales and was extinguished instantly. It's almost like tickling. Zhuiying was already very familiar with it, so Zhuiying hit him. I will impress you next time. Wu Yu smiled faintly and continued to devote himself to research. A success, even though it is just a fireball talisman, is also a qualitative leap. After the success, my thoughts are clear and I feel extremely comfortable. Now it seems that he has experienced a baptism. After a long period of concentration to study this magic circle, Wu Yu felt a vague progress. Now looking at the golden elixir, although it is still tempered with high-grade heavenly magic, he still feels slightly different. In terms of meaning, it seems to have improved. It is no longer the previous increase in machinery. Wu Yu will regard the golden elixir as a talisman. When tempering the golden elixir, he will unconsciously let the trajectory of the fireball talisman be sealed with the essence of the aura of heaven and earth. On top of the golden elixir. As a result, the elixir fire on the golden elixir seemed to be even more turbulent. Sure enough, alchemy, magic formation, and Taoism are all in one mind. Nowadays, there are many materials. After successfully drawing the first magic circle, Wu Yu was not in a hurry. He used the materials from Black Mountain Ghostwing to refine the elixir for several days, and finally succeeded in refining the Yuan Jindan. Of course, I failed several times before and wasted a lot of materials. Although the value of the 9 Yuan golden elixirs was far less than that of the many wasted fairies, he was still excited. He swallowed it directly and tempered the golden elixirs, feeling that the effect would be better. Alchemy, magic circle, and Taoism are synchronized, and the connection between the three is understood in a rational way. Although the speed of tempering the golden elixir is far less than that of Wu Yu directly swallowing thousands of Yuan Jindan, Wu Yu feels that this is a real progress. This is not a sudden increase in physical body or alchemy, but an increase in his Tao as a cultivator. He deeply realized that this Tao was the key to becoming an immortal. The elixir increases so much that one can kill enemies and move mountains and seas, but only with the Tao can one become an immortal, truly transcend the levels of life, reach the heavenly palace and heaven, rank among the immortals, and live forever. Of all the ways in the world, only by cultivating immortality can one achieve immortality. This sentence kept ringing in my heart. Wu Yu always felt that someone once asked, "Can you gain immortality by cultivating immortality?" This question was also stirring in his heart. He always felt that he had seen it before. Could it be the great sage Kishan and the victorious Buddha who asked such a question? 3 months after he made rapid progress on the path of cultivation, one day Zhu was shaken and turned into a human form and floated into the cave, with his long hair flying and a smile on his lips. He said, "Cultivation with you is truly a human experience." Leshy, no, I didn't expect that I could reach the realm of the 7th level of demon elixir so quickly. In this supreme hunting ground, even the 9th level of demon elixir is no match for me. Only then did Wu Yu realize that Zhu Ying's previous true state was the 6th level of demon elixir. His natal magical power was so powerful that Wu Yu thought he was from the 7th level of demon elixir since he was able to confront Black Mountain Ghostwing head-on. But now that he has reached the 7th heaven, he is not even a match for the demon pill in the 9th heaven. This shows how powerful his 9 infants bloodline is. However, his father is the number 1 demon in the divine continent, so it is actually normal for Zhu Ying to have such achievements. Wu Yu had such combat power at the 4th level of the Golden Core realm, which was what really frightened Zhu Ying. At this time, Wu Yu had the golden body of the Moon King Buddha in the south, which was truly rare in the world and invincible in the world. If I continue to grow like this, I don't believe they are forcing me. I will have no other way to leave this supreme hunting ground. Wu Yu, the best way is for me to send you away from Yunmen myself. It was still early, Wu Yu did not argue with him, and the two continued. Zhu Ying almost transformed into his true body, crawling between heaven and earth, absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, nourishing his blood, while Wu Yu was refining elixirs, drawing talismans, and tempering golden elixirs. Later, he began to forge magical weapons, but first he had to learn to use the sky-shattering hammer and the red flame furnace. It seems that the desert fire sea where the Tianyi clan is located is called the red flame furnace. The Black Mountain Ghostwing furnace may have been forged by the Tianyi clan. Because the magic weapon requires forging materials, it is more difficult than the talisman. Wu Yu is a beginner. He first forged a sword. It looked ugly and was as black as ink. However, the magic weapon array is more complicated because it needs to be durable. Try it a few times. After failing this time and wasting a lot of materials, Wu Yu still learned to draw the talisman formation first. After he could draw about 10 kinds of talisman formations, he refined the magic weapon again. Finally, with great concentration, he succeeded once. Of course, the magic weapon he refined for the first time even had the ability to suppress the demon. It's not as good as a stick, there's only a very simple rupture formation. However, after repeated attempts, he made a lot of progress in tempering the golden elixir. Wu Yu vaguely understood what was going on when the human elixir became one. In total, less than half a year had passed. When Wu Yu was lost in thought, suddenly one day, there was a loud noise outside, and there was a vague evil spirit coming in. Wu Yu quickly got up and came out. In the darkness, he saw more than 10 moon-chasing dogs. Running forward, the shadows in the dark night were very strange. With a few whooshes, the moon-chasing dogs appeared in front of Zhu Ying. Zhu Ying was still the demon body. At this time, he opened his eyes impatiently and looked at these moon-chasing dogs. During the Qingming festival holiday, brothers, please pay attention to safety when playing. /U003CE /U003E /U003CE /U003F. Follow the official QQ account 17K, ID, Love 17K, read early, and keep abreast of the latest information /U003C/E /U003E /U003C/E /U003E. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 286. The Zuyu dog transformed into a human form, and the leader was still Zhang Zuyu, who looked thin but was actually very strong. Zhu, there has been no movement for nearly half a year. I think you are not ready to leave the supreme hunting ground. Zhang Zuyu had actually been monitoring him, so she was not in a good mood. Zhu only raised one head. Zhu looked very gloomy in the darkness. He said, I am free to choose how I want to choose. You don't need to worry about it. Just do what you are responsible for. Zhang Zuyu. Zhang Zuyu's expression was cold. He glanced at Wu Yu and sneered, this human race boasted about taking 50 demon bands in Haikao, but so far they haven't gotten any. You must have blown your lie. You still want me to take it personally. Are you sending Yunmengai away? The group of dogs burst into laughter. In fact, most of them were old monsters that were over 1,000 years old. They were well informed and had probably seen more human beings than Wu Yu. Wu Yu smiled faintly and said, it's good that you still remember this matter. Don't wait for me to complete my goal and then you will cheat. Or you may not be able to send me safely out of Yunmensi. Zhang Zuyu sneered and said, nonsense, Zhang Zuyu, will certainly do what I say. If you can get 50 demon bands, I will let you leave Yunmen unscathed. Can all of you here testify, Wu Yu actually wanted to use this provoking method to make Zhang Zuyu fall into his trap. Now Zhang Zuyu thinks that he is only the 3rd or 4th level of the Golden Core realm, so don't really care. His mission is to send Zhu Ying to a higher hunting ground. Now that Zhu Ying has been here for nearly half a year, many big demons have already expressed their opinions on Zhang Zuyu's ability to do things. After all, many big demons are looking at Zhu Ying. What about Ying's performance? Certainly. The dogs didn't take it seriously at all. Zhang Zuyu was too lazy to care about Wu Yu. He stared at Zhu Ying and asked, are you sure you still don't want to hunt prey? You don't need to worry about it. Get out. Zhu Ying was too lazy to pay attention to him. He had a clear goal in mind. Whether to kill or not was not very important to him. Oh, it won't take long before you see blood. Zhang Zuyu was a little disappointed, so he felt even more angry. The majestic son of the infant emperor didn't even dare to hunt prey. This was simply a big joke of the monsters. The monsters didn't dare to spread the news because they felt it was embarrassing. Let's talk. Zhang Zuyu turned into a moon-chasing dog, and a group of moon-chasing dogs turned into black shadows in the darkness and swished away, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The group of dogs followed Zhang Zuyu through the dark forest. Boss, Zhu Ying is still so cowardly, what should we do? Yes, if we don't complete this task, we won't have a good life. I really don't know what Zhu Ying is thinking. The son of the majestic Ying Emperor, with such good blood, can be so cowardly. Zhang Zuyu suddenly said, since he still refuses to obey, we can only use some means. Although the Ying Huang hopes most that he will do it on his own instead of us forcing him, there may not be some good methods. I decided, inform the prey in this hunting ground and tell them that the son of the infant emperor has entered the hunting ground. Who can get the demon ban of the infant emperor's son, which is equivalent to 10 demon bans? 10, that's a lot, a moon-chasing dog next to him exclaimed. Many prey could not get 10 demon bans for decades, and before that, most of them had been killed. After all, in every hunting ground, the hunter is almost always slightly stronger than the prey. This is how the demon clan sets it up. However, the prey that can survive are indeed very capable of surviving. Zhang Ziyu smiled and said, if there are not 10, how can we make the prey crazy? In addition, we must tell them that anyone who informs Zhu Ying of the 10 demon bans will be killed on the spot. It is best not to let Zhu Ying know about this matter. Although Zhu Ying is not very favored now, his status is much higher than that of Zhang Ziyu. Zhang Ziyu still dare not really provoke him. Also, tell all the prey the location of Zhu Ying. Let's move separately. Yes. For a moment, all the moon-chasing dogs dispersed and went to spread the news in all directions. It seems that Zhang Ziyu will use some small tricks to get you to kill people. After Ziyu dog left, Wu Yu stood up and said. He had a hunch that he wouldn't be able to practice so easily next time. However, he had loosened his body a bit. He hadn't done anything in more than half a year, and he was a little restless. His body was meant for fighting. He dares, Zhu Ying was angry in his heart, but in fact he was helpless. He insisted in his heart, but it seemed that the entire demon clan was against him. In the supreme hunting ground, Wu Yu stood at the bottom of the abyss and looked up. He had not seen those prey yet, but he knew how much these monks would hate demons if they were regarded as so-called prey. Their situation must be miserable. As a member of the human race, Wu Yu certainly wanted them all to leave here alive, but he was past the age of innocence and knew that he would definitely not be able to do it. That's why he felt a little confused. Zhu Ying is a demon, but he can understand. He said, I'm sorry for letting you see the supreme hunting ground. Wu Yu shook his head and said, this is history and has nothing to do with you and me. The immortal sect of Xuanhuan also has similarities. What's the point of two tribes killing each other? It's better to join hands and reach the heaven together, Zhu Ying said. Of course, this is just the wish of two young people, and reality will always be more complicated than they imagined. About half a day had passed, and Wu Yu was drawing a magic weapon array. With extreme concentration, he instantly noticed the movement outside, so he paid more attention, and the magic circle and the sword embryo were destroyed together. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Whoosh! Wu Yu left the cave and appeared under the abyss. At this time, Zhu Ying changed into a human form and stood on a large black rock. His black robe rolled. Under the dark night, the demonic aura was rolling around his body, and his face was naturally pale. Bang! A dark blue sword energy rushed from a distance, rushed to Zhu Ying's eyes, and was shattered by Zhu Ying with a snap of his fingers. Under this attack, Zhu Ying was unharmed. Demon! With a thick roar, a sword cultivator wearing a blue robe stepped on the sword and instantly arrived in front of Wu Yu and Zhu Ying. The sword cultivator was dirty and his hair was disheveled, but he could still be seen to be very handsome and heroic. Sharp eyes and sharp sword light, he is a very standard swordsman. However, it may be very difficult to survive in this supreme hunting ground. There is a strong smell of blood on his body. Even through his clothes, it can be seen that he has struggled from the edge of death countless times. His body has long been suffering from many hidden diseases, and even, many will haunt you for a lifetime, such as the demon's natal magical power. Wu Yu had a hunch that this person might be a Huangjian level disciple from Xuanhuan. The sword cultivator was originally aiming at Zhu Ying, and wanted to take action against Zhu Ying, but he immediately saw Wu Yu, who was both a Xuanhuan disciple. They could clearly feel the presence of each other's disciple Fu, but Wu Yu was now standing together with Zhu Ying, without any defense against each other. This made the sword cultivator confused. "Are you a Xuanhuan disciple?" The swordsman in blue looked at Wu Yu with wide eyes. Wu Yu actually didn't know how to face him. He held up his hands and said, "Senior, my name is Wu Yu. I am a Fandan disciple of Duzan Sword Palace." The blue-clothed sword cultivator said, "I am Huangji unlevel disciple Qi Hian. Were you also captured in this endless sea of demons? Why did you?" He clearly felt that there was no hostility between Wu Yu and Zhu Ying. Wu Yu then explained, "Senior brother Qi, this demon is my friend. He is different from other demons. He was forced to come here. He has never killed a human being. You don't need to be hostile to him." Presumptuous. Treason. When Qi Hian heard this, he was trembling with anger. His eyes were burning, and he stared at Wu Yu and said, "As a Xuanhuan sword cultivator, I should regard the monster as my mortal enemy. You should associate with the monster. You still call me a friend. Wu Yu, are you worthy of the ancestors of Shu Mountain? Do you know how many of my compatriots in Shu Mountain were brutally killed in this supreme hunting ground? How many of my brothers were tortured and devoured by demons? Even my Taoist companion died in this hunting ground. We have a blood feud with the demon, but you actually call the demon your friend." Qi Hian's eyes were blood red, and the hand holding the sword was trembling. Wu Yu could feel the hatred and pain in his heart. To be honest, Wu Yu could almost see the scenes he described. He was naturally angry, but he had also seen these scenes in the demonic abyss. Besides, no matter what, at least Zhu Ying is innocent and he is fighting. But facing Qi Hian, Wu Yu couldn't say this. For a sad and desperate person, he couldn't refute, because Qi Hian himself was right, and he had reason to hate all monsters. Zhu Ying bowed to Qi Hian and said, "I'm sorry, these things are beyond my control. There is too much hatred between the two races and they are intertwined. I can't change anything." However, Qi Hian didn't accept the apology at all. He laughed loudly, his eyes were red, and he didn't even want to say more. He suddenly took action and killed Zhu Ying with his sword. "Wu Yu, if you are still from Xuanhuan, get out of here and don't interfere. Don't forget that the blood of Xuanhuan is flowing in your body," Qi Hian growled at him. Wu Yu gritted his teeth. At this time, Qi Hian had already attacked Zhu Ying. Of course, he was no match for Zhu Ying. Wu Yu could only wink at Zhu Ying. "Let's go." This place was exposed and he couldn't stay for long. He and Zhu Ying quickly withdrew from the battlefield and disappeared into the darkness in a few moments. Qi Hian tried his best to catch up, but found that not only did he not catch up with Zhu Ying, but even Wu Yu, they all disappeared easily before his eyes. This disciple of the Dozhan Sword Palace is clearly only at the 4th level of the Golden Cordeo realm. How could he be so fast? Seeing them disappear, although Qi Hian's murderous intention was not calmed down, there was a trace of doubt in his heart. However, he only thought about it for a moment and still chased them in the direction they fled. All the pain and misery came to my heart, and I couldn't help but burst into tears. Infant Emperor, today I will make you feel the pain of losing a child. /U003CE /U003E /U003CE /U003F. Follow the official QQ account 17K, ID, Love 17K, read early, and keep abreast of the latest information /U003C/E /U003E /U003C/E /U003E. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 287. The hatred in Qi Hian's heart was so deep that neither Wu Yu nor Zhu Ying wanted to face him head-on, so they chose to leave. You can chew one can chew. With the speed of the two of them, they easily got rid of Qi Hian. Hunting ground number 1 is covered in forests, with towering ancient trees everywhere. Wu Yu and Zhu Ying shuttled through it. The two of them moved quickly and swiftly, making no sound except for a few fallen leaves. Zhu Ying said, "The human race here generally has too much hatred. We have to find another place to find peace." Wu Yu nodded. His current interests were in magic circles and alchemy. It was impossible for him to conflict with Qi Hian, and it seemed inappropriate to conflict with demons in front of Zhu Ying. At this moment, Zhu Ying's face darkened and he said, "We seem to be being targeted." As soon as he finished saying this, Wu Yu felt pressure from all directions. Suddenly, a large number of ancient trees and jungle coffins fell down, or were burned by flames, melted by ice and snow, or torn apart by storms. Broken. In just a short moment, a large open space was left beside Wu Yu and Zhu Ying. Outside the open space, figures gradually fell one by one. About 20 ascetics appeared quickly and surrounded Wu Yu and Zhu Ying. There were many people in the sky. Wu Yu clearly saw that each of them was in the same state as Qi Hian, and most of them were even more depressed and embarrassed. However, this vicious environment sharpened their characters and made them cruel and kind. Hatred is like a ferocious beast. Obviously, the hardships they endured in this supreme hunting ground were much more terrifying than Wu Yu imagined. In a place like the supreme hunting ground, those who can survive are those who have wandered before the gate of hell countless times, so they have a desire for survival that even Wu Yu does not have. Oops. Even Qi Hian appeared in their team. A group of people stared at Wu Yu and Zhu Ying with the most hatred, even their eyes were blood red. They had no words. A bloody battle to the death was about to break out. "You can chew, one can chew." They all came up and surrounded us. Apparently Zhang Ziyu exposed my identity and position to them. Zhu Ying was very unhappy and looked around, trying to find Zhang Ziyu. "Come out." Although Qi Hian and these people did not say that they knew who Zhu Ying was, Zhu Ying knew from their eyes at this moment that they recognized him. At this moment when the other party was about to attack, Zhu Ying quickly said, "The rules of the supreme hunting ground are that you cannot besiege my demon clan. I have no ill intentions towards you. Please don't mess around." In order to protect the demon clan, the supreme hunting ground stipulates that monks cannot besiege and can only fight demons alone. It also restricts demons from besieging prey. After all, there is only a slavery ban and a demon ban. Unexpectedly, before Zhu Ying finished speaking, these 20 people roared and attacked at the same time. These people include sword cultivators, ghost cultivators, and ordinary cultivators. They are good at different Taoist arts. They are all at the 5th level of the Golden Core Dao realm. They all have Dao magical powers. Although they are not as good as Wu Yu and others when fighting alone, they can attack together and with almost no regard for life or death. The lethality is quite terrifying. For a moment, Wu Yu felt that he and Zhu Ying were about to be overwhelmed by Taoist magic and magical powers. In such a short moment, it was impossible to tell who was using what. "I'll do it." Encountering this trap, Wu Yu felt the need to explain clearly that he did not want to be an enemy of any cultivator here. 9 directions suppress demons. From the bag of Sumuru, the 9 demon-suppressing pillars flew out with a whoosh, and in a short moment turned into 9 demon-suppressing pillars. They fell from the sky and crashed to the ground, killing Wu Yu and Zhu Ying in the direction of the 9 palaces. Surrounded by. In the 9 directions demonic suppression array, 9 coiled dragon pillars form a huge cylindrical hole, shining with golden brilliance and soaring into the sky. Boom boom boom. As soon as the 9 directions demon-suppressing formation was formed, many Taoist and magical attacks bombarded the 9 directions demon-suppressing formation. For a moment, Wu Yu was subjected to violent storms from all around. More than 20 people were attacked at the same time, and the power was still quite terrifying. Wu Yu had to grit his teeth, use all his elixirs, and use his physical body to support the Zhifang demonic suppression pillar. After gritting his teeth and persisting, he could barely block it. The first wave of Taoist impact. Looking outside, with Wu Yu as the center, a large area was directly razed to the ground, and even the soil and rocks were destroyed. Obviously the monks were extremely shocked by Wu Yu's ability. They were frightened to the point where they stopped and looked at Wu Yu in horror. "You can chew one Kanchu. Who is this? It seems that the level of the golden elixir is not high, why is it so powerful? How can there be such a monster in heaven and earth?" When everyone was shocked and confused, Qi Hian's eyes were split open and he angrily scolded Wu Yu. "Wu Yu, as a disciple of Shushan, you actually protected the demon. You are sorry to your ancestors, you deserve death. You deserve it. The sky is struck by lightning, and you will never be able to live again." Qi Hian roared so hard that he burst into tears. Only then did the monks realize that this was actually a Shushan disciple. Under such circumstances, Wu Yu quickly said, "Seniors, things are not what you think. The man next to me is named Zhuing, and he is the son of the infant emperor. But he is kind-hearted and has never killed any of us. Comrade, this time he was trapped in the supreme hunting ground because his elders wanted him to go against his will and kill innocent people, but Zhuing is still in the number 1 hunting ground, which proves that he did not do that at all." As soon as he said this, the monks around him suddenly smiled miserably. "Child, you are too naive. The demons are cunning. You believe such words. Those of us who were caught in this hunting ground have no chance of survival. It is better that he is the son of the infant emperor. We will join hands to kill him and fight against the demons, so that the infant emperor will lose his son. Moreover, this demon has a promising future. When it grows up, it will be another catastrophe for us. Don't believe the demons. Wu Yu. We violated the rules of the supreme hunting ground this time, and we will definitely be collectively executed. We don't have much time. Even if you don't help, let go quickly and don't let us sacrifice in vain. Wu Yu, please," a group of people cried and their faces flushed with anxiety, but Wu Yu's 9-sided demon pillar was too stable, and they probably saw that Wu Yu was not against them, but was just confused by the demons. An unfaithful son of the infant emperor would indeed make people waver. Wu Yu understood that it must be the moon chaser who told the cultivators the identity and location of Zhuing, attracting them to deal with Zhuing, trying to force Zhuing to death, and he might not even want Zhuing to know that this was arranged by him, but Zhang Ziyu underestimated the hatred of the prey for the demons. After learning the news, they gathered together and decided to kill Zhuing even if they didn't want his life. Therefore, the development of the matter is beyond Zhang Ziyu's control. This is like shooting himself in the foot. Zhuing also knew the truth, and then he was furious and said, "Zhang Ziyu, get out." He roared, and the sound shook thousands of miles, and the cultivators around were all shocked. They only knew that Zhuing was only in his teens, but they didn't know that Zhuing was so powerful. They might not be able to kill him together. Wu Yu. Don't let us die in vain because of your kindness. If the demons harm people in the future, you will be a sinner for all eternity. These elders were so anxious that their faces turned red, and their eyes were almost full of blood and tears. Wu Yu understood their feelings very well. This was definitely a painful ambush. They didn't want to live anymore and just wanted the demons to pay the price. They were not wrong, but Zhuing was not wrong either. So, Wu Yu not only did not give up the Zhufang demon pillar, but strengthened the defense and defended this place to the death. Wu Yu. Zhuing glanced at him. He naturally knew the accusations Wu Yu was facing now, but even in such a situation, he insisted on supporting him, which made Zhuing feel warm in his heart. "In this life, I will never forget the decision you made today." Zhuing gritted his teeth and said word by word. For Zhuing, who is worthy of deep friendship, even like a biological brother? Today he found the answer. Seeing that Wu Yu was still disobedient, they could no longer bear it. While cursing and going crazy, they continued to attack. More than 20 people were almost vomiting blood because of Wu Yu. Elders, Wu Yu, guarantee it with my life. The person you want to kill today is not your best choice. Besides, if he wants to leave, you can't kill him at all. Now only the 9th level of the Golden Cordeo realm can stop him, and you can't do it at all. Even so, Wu Yu could only advise them. But they have already risked their lives. Zhu Ying's face was gloomy and he made some decisions. At this time, the sound of dog barking was heard all around, and the moon-chasing dogs rushed from all directions. They finally arrived. Hearing the sound of the dog barking, the cultivators were horrified. When they looked at each other, their eyes were dead gray. They obviously understood that this time, because of Wu Yu's obstruction, their plan had completely failed. Wu Yu, the eternal sinner, Qi Hian was the only Shushan disciple here. He knelt on the ground and was almost ready to commit suicide to apologize. Whoosh! One of the moon-chasing dogs rushed out from the surroundings. Even if it was just one moon-chasing dog, it would be more than enough to face more than 20 cultivators. After all, they were the law enforcers of hunting ground number 1. Just one moon-chasing dog had the ability to control the entire field. Moon-chasing dogs were at least at the 7th level of Demon Pill. The first moon-chasing dog that appeared must have at least the 8th level of Demon Pill. Damn it! You damn prey, you are so brave. You dare to besiege my fellow demons in the supreme hunting ground, the pitch-black moon-chasing dog roared, and with the moon on its forehead as the center, dark yellow flames emerged from its body. The demon body suddenly rushed forward, and its claws and teeth alone could end the lives of many cultivators. The target of the moon-chasing dog was first an old man who was closest to him. The old man held a pagoda in his hand and fought against the moon-chasing dog. However, the pagoda was knocked away at the moment of contact with the moon-chasing dog. To be honest, this moon-chasing dog is not weaker than the Black Mountain Ghost Wing. Seeing that the old man was about to be torn apart by the moon-chasing dog, Wu Yu instantly withdrew the 9 directions demon-suppressing formation, and the 9 directions demon-suppressing pillars quickly merged into one. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 288. Zhufang breaks the boundary. The Zhufang demonic suppression pillar quickly turned into a golden stick and appeared in Wu Yu's hand. Wu Yu used his physical body to use the force on the ground, and his speed was naturally terrifying. A golden light flashed past, and Wu Yu appeared in front of the moon-chasing dog. The 9 directions breaking stick in his hand instantly collided with the moon-chasing dog's sharp claws. Bang! There was an explosion of golden light. Buzz! Thousands of ancient trees around the sky collapsed directly, and most of the cultivators present were blown away and rolled on the ground several times. When Wu Yu landed on the ground and a large area of the ground cracked, the moon chaser screamed and flew far away. It could be seen that blood suddenly appeared on its claws, using its body and Wu Yu's 9 directions to suppress the demon. When fighting against each other, the moon-chasing dog was at a disadvantage. /U0026 #1 Kanju. Of course, this was also the reason why Wu Yu took action suddenly. The moon-chasing dog landed on an ancient tree, and its eyes suddenly turned blood red. The monster energy was released, and its body was expanding rapidly, as if it had turned into a dog in the sky and wanted to devour the moon. It wasn't until Zhu Ying stood in front of Wu Yu and looked at the moon-chasing dog silently that the moon-chasing dog gave up its attack and just looked at Wu Yu unhappily. The moon-chasing dog naturally never expected that he would be at the bottom when fighting against Wu Yu. Now that he realized what he was doing, the blood in his eyes disappeared, and he looked shocked and shocked. Also shocked were the more than 20 cultivators. They originally despised Wu Yu, but they never expected that it was Wu Yu who saved them this time. Now the situation has changed a bit quickly, and many people have not reacted. However, in addition to the previous moon-chasing dog, Other moon-chasing dogs also arrived. Behind it, a moon pattern appeared in the darkness. They were the moon-chasing dogs, one of which was the most handsome. It was Zhangzuyu. A group of demons swarmed up, all demons from the 7th level or above. Although there were only a dozen of them, they completely crushed the ascetics to death. This made Qi Hian and the others even more miserable. Wu Yu's rescue was just an interlude. They now deeply understood that with so many moon-chasing dogs appearing at the same time, their crazy plan had failed. According to the regulations of the Supreme Hunting Ground, their fate would be much more tragic than imagined. At this time, they heard that Zhu was very angry. He directly faced Zhangzuyu among the dogs, almost growling, and said, "Zhangzuyu, you did a good job. What you did today, if my father I know, you will be smashed to pieces. Even my father can't force me, but you do this, good, you are very courageous." Hoo hoo. While Zhu Ying was talking, the dogs turned into human forms and walked up to Zhu Ying. They all had solemn expressions. Taking Zhangzuyu as the leader, they looked at Wu Yu and the monks behind them. Zhangzuyu's eyes changed several times. Suppressed the murderous intention in his heart, and said, "Zhu Ying, I don't know what you mean. The Supreme Hunting Ground is inherently dangerous. These prey don't know good and bad, broke the rules of the Supreme Hunting Ground, and even besieged you. According to the rules of the Supreme Hunting Ground, they will be killed on the spot. The rules of the Supreme Hunting Ground are strict, and they must die, otherwise other prey will definitely be lucky." At this juncture, he still refused to admit it. However, Wu Yu could tell that Zhangzuyu seemed to be very courageous, but after so many things happened, he was no longer as emotionally stable as before when he spoke, and he was obviously trying to stay calm. He sneered, turned around and said to the monks, "Everyone, please tell Zhangzuyu, is it because their Zuyu dog told you the identity and location of the infant emperor's son that you gathered here?" As he spoke, he winked at everyone. He hoped that they could understand that although they took risks this time, Wu Yu was saving them. There are a few people who understand Wu Yu's meaning a little. Anyway, they are dead now, so they are not afraid. And if they think about it carefully, they will find that there is still a certain conflict between the son of the infant emperor and the moon-chasing dog. Of course, they can't wait for the fierce conflict between the demons. Their eyes were still red, but Qi Hian said directly, "That's right, otherwise why would we gather here? It's Zhangzuyu who wants to kill the son of the infant emperor here." After he opened his mouth, the monks all acknowledged it. "You can chew one, can't you?" Zhangzuyu's expression changed instantly, and he said angrily, "Zhu Ying, don't listen to these despicable prey. They hate me to the core and will definitely find ways to harm me. What kind of status do you have? How dare I let them? I'm going to hurt you. Besides, these trash can't touch you. They're just giving Zhu Ying a lesson." He had some leeway in saying this. After all, with the blame from above, he could say that he was killing Zhu Ying, but he just didn't expect these prey to be so bold. There is no need to fight him, but today, we must not let him kill these people based on this matter alone. If Zhu Ying makes a fuss, it is still possible for Zhangzuyu to walk around without food, but Wu Yu still has to relying on Zhangzuyu to guide him out of the endless demonic sea. He naturally understood that what was important today was that Zhu Ying was okay, and more importantly, that the elders who were blocked by him were okay, otherwise, he would feel uneasy. After listening to Wu Yu's whisper, Zhu Ying probably knew what to do. He said very straightforwardly, "Zhangzuyu, don't underestimate me. You can swear that you did the right thing for everything you did, but one day, I, Zhu Ying, will grow up. No matter whether I can kill you or not, you will become an ant under my feet. So, you'd better stop thinking about these bad ideas." This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Speaking of this, Zhangzuyu's face turned pale. He actually admitted in his heart that the method he thought of was indeed a bad idea, which made Zhu very anxious. Although the infant emperor was very disappointed with Zhu recently, he was the son of the infant emperor after all. He could not kill them. He would be very strong just by relying on his bloodline. If that day came, he would be unlucky. Fortunately, Zhu changed his tone when he said this, and said, "I can ignore what happened today, but this matter was caused by you and has nothing to do with them. You must not deal with any of them privately. If we know, you know the consequences, right?" Zhu could only hug them this time. After all, this is the supreme hunting ground. He is far from being able to disband the supreme hunting ground and let them all leave the endless demon sea. For Zhang Ziyu, if he killed so many prey today, causing the prey in hunting ground number 1 to decrease in an instant and become extremely scarce, the superiors would definitely ask the reason, and then his bad action would be exposed, which would not be good for him. In this case, he would go with the flow and said, "This matter was caused by me, so forget it, but pray, you know how to keep your mouth shut in order to survive, right?" Zhang Ziyu looked at them grimly. In hunting ground number 1, Zhang Ziyu had absolute dominance. This time, with Zhu request, he couldn't kill all of them, but killing 1 or 2 was completely possible. The cultivators didn't expect that they could survive at all. Zhang Ziyu's eyes clearly meant for them to get out of here quickly. This was clearly the Zhu they wanted to kill, so that they could still survive in this situation. Looking at Wu Yu, he was also relieved and looked at them. They naturally understood that Wu Yu's efforts and contributions must have contributed to this. After thinking about it carefully, looking at the relationship between Zhang Ziyu and Zhu, and thinking of the 10 demon prohibitions mentioned by Zhang Ziyu, they roughly understood that what Wu Yu said was probably not false. The son of the infant emperor was indeed a little different. However, this was not everyone's idea. Among more than 20 people, only more than 10 people could understand it, and some were still immersed in the blood feud. Like Qian, he had already prepared to die. Even for him, living was worse than death. Now his only desire to survive was to make the demons pay the price. Zhu gave him the opportunity to continue to survive, but he was not grateful at all, because he didn't want life, but revenge and the price. When Zhu and Wu Yu turned their backs to him and talked with Zhang Ziyu, Qian found an opportunity. He was now the closest to Zhu. At that moment, the other cultivators were ready to leave, but Qian lowered his head and grinned, and suddenly jumped up. Qian, this instant change shocked everyone. Qian was instantly transformed into a bloody man, and his blue spiritual weapon sword instantly turned into a blood sword, as if it had the power of a curse, stabbing at Zhu. Soul disintegration spell. Forbidden Taoist spell, everyone couldn't help but exclaimed when they checked it, their faces were miserable. Many blood-red skulls appeared on Qian's body, and he became one with the sword, and the whole person turned into a sword, shooting at Zhu in an extreme moment. "Demon, die!" Wu Yu turned back after hearing Qian's painful and struggling voice. Everything happened in an instant, and Zhu was also met with murderous intent as soon as he turned back. His face changed, and flesh wings instantly grew out from behind him, sweeping over and blocking in front of him, and flapping once, raising a terrifying level of wind, and Dan Yuan surged. At that moment, Qian's sword had not yet stabbed Zhu, but was blown away by the wind. Qian, soul disintegration spell, assassination failed. The son of the infant emperor, he deserves to die. When Qian, covered in blood, flew backwards, his whole body exploded instantly, turning into a bloody rain that fell down. Qian, dead. Of course, it was not Zhu who killed him, but he performed the forbidden Taoist technique at the cost of his death, which was the root cause of his death. Everyone stared at the scene with wide eyes, and Zhu was even more depressed, and hurriedly said to Wu Yu, "Sorry." He didn't expect that the problem had been solved, and Qi Hian would still kill him in this way. This is Wu Yu's elder in Xuanhuan. Wu Yu is not ignorant of the truth. No one is wrong in Qi Hian's death. What is wrong is the historical hatred between the two tribes and the supreme hunting ground. Everyone, go, don't stay. Wu Yu could only watch over the others to prevent anyone from doing the same as Qi Hian. At this moment, after Qi Hian died, his body disintegrated, and a black token appeared, floating into Zhu Ying's hand. This was the slavery ban, in which the magic array would automatically identify the demon that killed the prey and put it in his hand. Zhu Ying was stunned to take it, and was a little overwhelmed for a while. He hated this thing and threw it on the ground, but he didn't expect Zhang Ziyu and the others to see it. Suddenly, they laughed. Congratulations Zhu Ying, you got a slavery ban and can upgrade to the second hunting ground. Our infant emperor's son has finally taken his first historic step. Congratulations. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 289. The elders of Xuanhuan fought to the death, but they only attracted the ridicule of the moon-chasing dogs. When Wu Yu saw this scene, his inner conflict was intense, but this had nothing to do with Zhu Ying. Zhu Ying was even more helpless. He hated the supreme hunting ground in his heart, so when the moon-chasing dogs started making noises, his face turned cold and he yelled, "Shut up!" Zhang Ziyu motioned for everyone to shut up, and then said with a smile, "Don't blame them. As a demon clan, we are also sincerely happy to see the stubborn son of the infant emperor finally take the first step." Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow Diamond Suit. Diamond Suit. The other cultivators did not attack Zhu Ying again. There was too much hatred in their eyes, not just for Zhu Ying, but for all monsters. Until now, Wu Yu could only signal them to leave here quickly, otherwise trouble would arise. Wu Yu, think more, don't let Qi Hian die in vain. When the ascetics left, one of them said this to Wu Yu. Obviously, they can't let go of their hatred, and even so, they won't trust Zhu Ying absolutely. Wu Yu understood them. After the monks left, Zhang Ziyu was reluctant and said, "Zhu Ying, we made concessions to each other on this matter before. Now that you have obtained the slavery ban from Qi Hian, according to the rules of the Supreme Hunting Ground, you need to go to Hunting Ground number 2, I'll take you there right away, okay?" For Zhang Ziyu, Zhu Ying's stay at Hunting Ground number 1 was a big trouble, and he wished to send him away as soon as possible. But Zhu Ying shook his head. He was too lazy to pay attention to Zhang Ziyu, and threw the slavery ban at Zhang Ziyu, preparing to leave, continue to practice, and increase his strength. Fairy 1, Hei Yan Ge can be watched for free without pop-ups. Zhang Ziyu had obviously expected that he would be like this. At this moment, he suddenly turned his gaze to Wu Yu and said, "Wu Yu, this is not easy." Not only did he block the attacks of so many prey, he also fought off the demon Pill's moon-chasing dog of the 8th heaven realm. In other words, you are too strong to stay at Hunting Ground number 1. According to the comparison of strength, you should go to Hunting Ground number 6 immediately. This is our agreement. I think you won't abide by this agreement. If that's the case, then if you can really collect 50 demon bans, then I won't be prepared to fulfill your promise. Wu Yu had no choice but to show his strength before and let Zhang Ziyu see it. He knew that Zhang Ziyu would not let go of this opportunity to separate him from Zhu Ying. With Wu Yu around, Zhu Ying would indeed have a harder time killing the cultivators. Zhang Ziyu did make an agreement with Wu Yu at the beginning that once Wu Yu became super powerful, he could not stay in Hunting Ground number 1. This is also the rule of the entire Supreme Hunting Ground, which increases the difficulty of obtaining 50 demon bans. Indeed, if Zhang Ziyu wanted to fulfill his promise, he couldn't break the rules first. Zhu naturally knew that hunting ground number 6 was dangerous for Wu Yu, so he objected, "Zhang Ziyu, do you really want to go against me?" Zhang Ziyu waved his hands helplessly, he had a point in this matter. Wu Yu thought for a moment and said to Zhu Ying, "The number 6 hunting ground is number 6. We have to go up there, right? This is the rule of the supreme hunting ground, which Zhu Ying cannot break at present." Although he was gritting his teeth, Wu Yu had already shown his strength, and it was obvious that such a day would come. Zhu Ying is worried about the safety of his friend, but the problem is that he still has to stay at hunting ground number 1 and hunting ground number 2. Although with his strength, he can easily reach hunting ground number 6 and ensure Wu Yu's safety, this means he needs to kill someone. Tangled and struggling. "Wu Yu, please. Zhu Ying, do you want to continue on the same journey with your friend Wu Yu and exchange cultivation experiences? Then go to the number 2 hunting ground. After all, according to the rules of our supreme hunting ground, every demon must slowly improve before he can reach hunting ground number 6, unlike Wu Yu, can reach the sky in one step." Zhang Ziyu laughed. "What are you proud of? One of my 50 demon bands will be yours." Zhang Ziyu. Wu Yu looked at him coldly. "Ahaha, although I don't have a demon ban on me, why not bring one with me from today on?" "Wu Yu, I'm just waiting for you to challenge me." Zhang Ziyu smiled. The dogs nearby burst into laughter, leaning forward and backward with laughter. "Zhu Ying, farewell for today, see you again tomorrow." Wu Yu said goodbye to Zhu Ying without saying goodbye to his mother-in-law. "I have a hunch that starting from today, we will start fighting and killing. Goodbye, stay safe." Zhu Ying was still apologetic about what happened today. He looked at Zhang Ziyu again and said, "If something happens to Wu Yu at hunting ground number 6, you will be in big trouble." Zhang Ziyu waved his hand and said, "There is no slavery ban on him, and no demon is interested in taking action against him. However, if he challenges other demons and is killed, I can't control it. That hunting ground number 6 is not his territory. I'll go to hunting ground number 2 and go there with you." Zhu Ying made a decision. Wu Yu wanted to leave hunting ground number 1. It was useless for him to stay at hunting ground number 1. He was still worried about putting his friends in danger because of his own affairs. Life and death were at stake, so he also wanted to find a way for him to go to hunting ground number 6, but the premise was that he would still not go against his true intentions. Zhu Ying is very simple at heart and does not need too many reminders from Wu Yu. In this way, Zhang Ziyu and other dogs turned into Yuzuyu dogs and dispersed suddenly. Zhang Ziyu took Wu Yu and Zhu Ying to the passages of major hunting grounds. It is said that every hunting ground has passages to other hunting grounds. The terrain and world of this supreme hunting ground are so complicated that Wu Yu can't see clearly. This obviously involves a very deep magic circle, and maybe it is a strong man in the realm of Yuan Shen. A real magic circle arranged, rather than a fake magic circle. Soon after, several bronze gates appeared in front of them. Those bronze gates were inlaid on the wall of a mountain peak. There were 9 in total, numbered from 2 to 10 respectively, corresponding to major hunting grounds. Wu Yu had a hunch that these bronze gates were the key formations of the supreme hunting ground. "Zhu Ying, please." Zhang Ziyu opened the number 2 hunting ground first and invited Zhu Ying in. Zhu Ying said, "Wu Yu, take care. I will let you leave Yunmen safely, trust me." His attitude was decisive, and Wu Yu naturally believed him. After that, Zhu Ying entered the number 2 hunting ground. When hunting ground number 2 was closed, Zhang Ziyu and Wu Yu were left. At this time, Zhang Ziyu opened the door of hunting ground number 6 and looked at Wu Yu, saying, "I can see, your physical strength, it's rare in the world and can be called a monster. That's why you have such abilities. I'm afraid you are also a well-known figure in Shushan. Maybe you are a disciple of one of the 7 Immortals of Shushan." Wu Yu said coldly, "You overestimate me. I am just an ordinary Fandan disciple, not even a master." Zhang Ziyu didn't believe it. He opened the door of hunting ground number 6 and stared at Wu Yu. When Wu Yu walked into hunting ground number 6, he said word by word, "If I kill you now, I will definitely be a disgrace to Xuanhuan. It's a huge loss. It's a pity that Zhu became friends with you. But Wu Yu, I'm sure that humans and demons are mortal enemies. You are young and cherish each other, but let me tell you, one day, you and Zhu will turn against each other, and then Zhu will be the one to kill you, so put away your sweet dreams." Boring. Wu Yu was too lazy to pay attention to him and walked directly into the bronze gate of hunting ground number 6. After walking in, Zhang Ziyu snorted coldly and closed the door heavily. The atmosphere suddenly changed. As a prey, Wu Yu had the hunting ground is heading towards the high-end hunting ground. In front of it is a deep dark passage. Only a little flash of light can be seen in the far direction, which is the exit. He felt that he was in the belly of a mountain, but the mountain was mysterious and complex, and even the soil had many mysterious connotations. There was a ferocious aura coming from the end of the road ahead. Obviously, the fighting atmosphere at hunting ground number 6 would be much better than before. The number is much stronger. It is said that at hunting ground number 6, there are a small number of cultivators at the 7th level of the Golden Core realm, but most of them are at the 8th level of the Golden Core realm. The corresponding demons should be stronger if you want to hunt them. Basically, they have been upgraded from hunting ground number 5 through continuous challenges. In fact, in every hunting ground, there is also a base that is specially set up for the cultivation of monsters. Only monsters can enter, but monks cannot enter. A large number of monsters practice in the base, and when they occasionally find something, they come out to hunt. In the endless sea of demons, many demons came to the supreme hunting ground from around the 5th level of the demon core. They did not leave until they challenged the number 10 hunting ground and surpassed the 10th level of the Golden Core Deo realm. This process greatly enhanced their fighting qualities. In order to leave the supreme hunting ground without embarrassing Zhu, Wu Yu quickly rushed forward. Although the passage was very long, Wu Yu still rushed out quickly. The light in front of his eyes suddenly became brighter. The moment he rushed out, he was suddenly suspended in the air. He suddenly found that he appeared in mid-air, with no mountain peaks behind him and no bronze gate at all. In front of him was a mist-filled swamp. He couldn't see very far. The demonic aura was overwhelming. There must be many demons lurking in the swamp. Wu Yu's sudden appearance was indeed a bit high profile. Thinking of it, most of the people here were almost himself. The ultimate opponent, he immediately hid himself, disappeared into the clouds and mist, and moved forward in this hunting ground number 6. There is no ban on demons now, which is indeed a problem. Anyway, I can't rely on Zhu. I have to leave by myself and go back to Xuanhuan. Over in Xuanhuan, he has just integrated in. His disappearance must be a shock to Xuanhuan, especially Nangong Wei, whom Wu Yu misses the most. She has been there for more than a year. Is she okay? Eager to return to Xuanhuan, Wu Yu quietly walked forward in the swamp, looking for the monster. 2 updates today. Updates have been a bit sparse in the past few days. There should be more than 4 updates tomorrow. /U003 sem /U003e /U003 sem /U003 follow the official QQ public account, ID, love, read it early, and keep abreast of the latest information /U003c/m /U003e /U003c/m /U003e. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 290. Hunting ground number 6 is definitely much spookier than hunting ground number 1. Xuanhuan www.a.n.w.e.n. In particular, there is almost no solid ground under the feet, and it is almost all swamps. These swamps are filled with a strong rancid smell, which is disgusting. The mud is rolling, and sometimes human bones will emerge. As for the bones of demons, there are basically no bones. This shows that in this supreme hunting ground, the difference between prey and hunters is very clear. Basically, monsters will not die here. The cultivators, on the other hand, are constantly replenishing but still consuming, not because they are not strong enough, but because they are just the subjects of trials. Walking on this endless swamp filled with grey mist, Wu Yu truly felt the terror of the demon. Precisely because there are so many demons, the aura of demons is everywhere. In such an environment, it is difficult to tell where there are demons. It is estimated that the entire hunting ground number 6 is a swamp. If it is flying in the air, whether it is a monk or a demon, it will become a target. It is estimated that usually, all the beings here are hiding in the swamp. At least if you look around, you can't feel any life in the air. Instead, it is rolling under the mire, and there may be monsters and monks fighting inside. Wu Yu was swimming on the surface of the swamp. Not long after he entered, he felt keenly the sound of fighting on the side, and it must be a life and death fight. He hesitated for a moment, and then quickly rushed over. If the demon is at a disadvantage, I won't care. If the ascetic is at a disadvantage, I will always help. Although he knew that the supreme hunting ground was the historical enmity between the two races, Wu Yu was definitely on the side of the human race during the fight. He moved very quickly, and with only a slight tap of his physical strength on the swamp, his whole body was like golden light. It passed by in a flash, leaving no trace behind. The closer you get, the louder the movement becomes. Obviously the monks and demons around will hear the sound and come. If time goes by and more demons come, it will be very detrimental to the monks. After all, monks are strictly prohibited from besieging demons. Wu Yu didn't know how much he could help, but at least what he saw in front of him showed that he would not back down. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, he entered the fighting area. The mud was rolling in this area, and it was no longer clear where was the swamp and where was the sky. Within a radius of hundreds of miles, the mud underfoot was shaken high into the sky and splashed everywhere. The mud blocked Wu Yu's sight, but Wu Yu still quickly found the two sides of the battle. He came at the most critical time, because the monks on both sides of the battle were covered in blood and dying, and fell into the mud. Was submerged in it, and above it, there seemed to be a demon similar to a moon-chasing dog, charging down and biting away. Another slavery ban. We can go to hunting ground No. 7, not far away, a woman's excited voice came. This made Wu Yu realize that there were two monsters here. There are certain differences between demons' magic and that of ascetics. It is often reflected in the body and in close combat. Although the scene of destruction is not as good as that of ascetics, the lethality is quite large. Tear. Under the impact, endless mud surged up, and the cultivator who had just hit it was also blown up, and was about to be swallowed by the demon. Without saying a word, Wu Yu rushed forward, and the 9-direction demon-suppressing pillar that transformed into one body in his hand quickly extended out, tens of feet in an instant, and just as the demon devoured the cultivator, he pushed the cultivator away. Dang, the demon bit the Jufang demon suppression pillar. This demon was so powerful that it almost took away Wu Yu's Jufang demon suppression pillar. Wu Yu suddenly pulled back the Jufang demon suppressing pillar, and leaped over, reaching the opposite side in an instant to catch the severely injured cultivator. This cultivator is a middle-aged man, wearing a black and gold armor, very heroic. There is a magic circle on the armor, and it turns out to be the same psychic magic weapon. On his body, the power of the demon was destroying his body crazily. Wu Yu quickly took out an elixir from the sumuru bag that controlled the inside of the body and suppressed the power of the demon, and asked the monk to take it, and then took out another elixir. The powerful elixirs for bone regeneration and muscle growth are all from Black Mountain Ghost Wing, so the effect is very good. Just after completing this step, As expected by Wu Yu, two demons surrounded him. He finally saw clearly that the demon he fought before was not the moon-chasing dog, but a more powerful and majestic one with black and white colors all over his body. There are many kinds of patterns, and the most astonishing thing is the pair of canine teeth on the upper palate, which stick out like swords. They are sharp and ferocious. With such an obvious appearance, Wu Yu remembers that there is a record of this kind of monster in the biographies of Shenzhou, named saber-teethed wolf. It is relatively rare for a saber-toothed wolf to become a demon. The demon in front of me took who knows how many years to achieve what it is today. The other demon was in human form, a voluptuous young woman, covered in black fur, with snow-white skin, and a tail behind her. She had an unruly and wild look, with a pair of fangs slightly exposed in her lips, shining with a cold light. There is no slavery ban? I recognize you, Wu Yu. Just when the saber-toothed wolf was very ferocious, even furious, the demon woman said something, which calmed the saber-toothed wolf slightly. The meat was snatched away by Wu Yu. With his ferocious nature, he would definitely not be convinced. How do you know me? Wu Yu was surprised. He asked for time while letting the cultivator struggle back from the brink of death. In fact, he was looking for a way to escape. After all, they are 1 against 2, and there is an injured person beside them. The monsters around them must be watching eagerly, fearing that they will capsize if they are not careful. This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. The demon woman smiled sweetly and said, "Well, when my husband and I entered the supreme hunting ground a few days ago, we heard about your reputation at hunting ground number 1. We fought all the way here, but why did you appear here? Your strength, I'm afraid it's far from the level here. Why, Zhuang gave up on you and sent you here to die. He has no slavery ban. Who has time to kill him?" the saber-toothed wolf roared very violently. The demon woman stuck close to the saber-toothed wolf and said with a sweet smile, "I hate it. It's okay to eat the Da-Da-Ya festival. Okay, I won't joke with you anymore, Wu Yu, give us back our prey, let's go. Zhuang treats you as a friend, we are not that stupid to cause trouble for you." The other party was quite polite. However, Wu Yu and the cultivator behind him looked at each other. The other person did not have the ability to escape safely, so Wu Yu said, "What if I don't?" The demon woman was slightly surprised and said, "Well, we are not people who are afraid of trouble. You are also half a prey. The rules of the supreme hunting ground are to fight alone, and the prey is not allowed to rescue the prey, and the demon clan cannot help the demon clan. You broke the rules of the supreme hunting ground. Even if we eat your delicate and tender meat here, it is still justified. Don't be confused." The saber-toothed wolf next to him stuck out his tongue and looked at Wu Yu looking at food. "Yes, this is a hunting ground. They catch prey and eat it raw. The rules here are no different from those in the mortal jungle. Give you 3 breaths, get out of here," the saber-toothed wolf growled. Hearing this, the cultivator behind Wu Yu took a deep breath and said, "Young man, leave quickly. I accept your wishes. Today is my limit. I will die in the hands of the saber-toothed wolf and magic eye. I'm not too bad in my hands. I can't hurt you. This is the supreme hunting ground. If you break the rules as a prey, you will end up badly. Go away now." His face was ashen. "1, the saber-toothed wolf shouted roughly. Wu Yu took a closer look at the demonic woman known as the Evil Eyes and found that her eyes were very special and possessed mysterious magical power. Since ancient times, wolves have been fighting against each other. The wolf is actually a wolf with congenital disabilities and short forelimbs, but it is extremely smart. The combination of wolves is brave and strategic. Once they join forces, it will be really difficult to deal with them." The Devil's Eyes chuckled miserably and said, "I'll give you the last time, make the most of it. You are probably at the 4th level of the Golden Elixir realm, and it's very cruel to be thrown here. My husband likes to eat fresh food meat. If you don't leave, I'm afraid you won't even be able to keep any bones." She said these bloody things in such a gentle tone, which was more creepy than the violent saber-toothed wolf. 2. The saber-toothed wolf counted himself. Wu Yu had no choice but to grab the arm of the cultivator behind him, and with sudden force, under the opponent's unbelievable gaze, he threw him directly out of the fighting range with the huge force of his body. "Go as far as you can," after Wu Yu said to him. He immediately turned around. He raised the Zhufang demon suppressing pillar in his hand horizontally to block the root of the saber-toothed wolf and the demon-eyed wolf. It was a kind of horizontal sword. Immediate pride. "If you want to get the slavery ban, you have to pass my test first." Wu Yu looked at them with a provocative look. The saber-toothed wolf and the devil eye were simply stunned. They seemed to see a newborn child waving his little fist at them. For a moment, the devil eye chuckled, covering his stomach, and ordered the devil eye. He said awkwardly, "You go get the slavery ban, and I'll play with this silly kid. I'll come back later and give you some extra food." Roar! The saber-toothed wolf quickly chased after the ascetic without saying a word. He almost bumped past Wu Yu, obviously not taking Wu Yu seriously at all. At this moment, Wu Yu exerted all his strength, and the 9 directions demonic suppression pillar suddenly became extremely thick. It swung around in the air and crashed into the charging saber-toothed wolf. The opponent was faster, but Wu Yu's attack speed was even faster. The saber-toothed wolf is a physically very powerful species. At this moment, its strong forehead directly collided with the Zhufang demonic suppression pillar. Click. There was a harsh sound for a moment, and the saber-toothed wolf screamed in pain and flew back to Demon Eye Hao. A closer look showed that his forehead was cracked and blood splattered. His face was suddenly stained red, and the sword was also shocked. The toothed wolf became more ferocious. At this time, the 2 demons knew the reason why Wu Yu was sent here. As expected of Zhu Ying's friend, Hao's scary demon eyes looked gloomy, and his human form began to change, becoming a demon.